We did not plan to hide for 3 days. We planned to hide for one night. Just until the truck stopped passing. Just until the shouting moved farther down the road. Just until the dogs could no longer smell us. But fear stretches time, and the forest does not measure days the way houses do. It began before dawn. Heavy engines rolled through the village like distant thunder. Doors slammed. Orders were barked in a language that had grown too familiar. My father did not wait for explanation. Now he whispered. We had prepared a small bundle weeks earlier. Not because we expected this morning, but because every morning felt like it might become this one. Bread wrapped in cloth. A small canteen. 2 blankets. Nothing else. We left through the back garden. The frost cracked beneath our steps. Behind us, the village was already awake with panic. We did not run at first. Running draws attention. We walked quickly toward the tree line, keeping low. The forest stood dark and silent ahead of us. Tall pines tightly packed, their branches heavy and watchful. Once inside, the air changed immediately. Colder, damp. The sounds of engines softened into distant vibrations. We moved deeper, far enough that the village disappeared completely. My father chose a shallow dip between roots and fallen branches. Here, he said. It did not look like shelter. It looked like ground, but he began covering us with cut branches and loose pine boughs. From above, perhaps we would resemble nothing more than debris. The first day passed in silence. We did not dare light a fire. We did not dare speak above a whisper. At midday, distant gunshots cracked through the trees. Not close, but close enough. My younger sister trembled beside me. I held her hand so tightly my fingers ached. We ate small pieces of bread, careful not to drop crumbs. The forest smells different when you are hiding. Usually it smells of earth and sap. That day it smelled of fear. Every snapped twig sounded deliberate. Every bird taking flight felt like betrayal. Near evening we heard them. Boots, not one pair, several, moving through underbrush. Dogs panting. My breath stopped entirely. The boots came closer. Closer. Voices murmured. Branches shifted. A dog barked sharply. My father's hand pressed gently against my shoulder, urging stillness beyond stillness. The boots paused, so close I could hear fabric brushing against leaves. A dog sniffed loudly. Its paws rustled through pine needles. I was certain it would see us. Certain it would sense the warmth of our bodies beneath the branches. Seconds stretched impossibly long. Then a whistle sounded. Sharp, commanding. The dog retreated. Boots shifted direction. Gradually the sounds faded. No one moved for several minutes. Even after silence returned. Night fell heavily. Colder than before. Without fire, the cold crawled inward slowly. Through shoes, through slaves, into bone. We took turns staying awake. Not because we could protect ourselves, but because listening felt like control. The second day began with hunger sharper than fear. We divided what little bread remained. Smaller pieces now. My sister asked when we would go home. No one answered. Midday brought rain. Not heavy, but steady. It soaked through branches, dripped onto our blankets, turned earth beneath us to mud. The forest no longer smelled of pine. It smelled metallic, like wet iron. Movement was riskier now. Mud records footprints. Still, by late afternoon, my father decided we had to shift position. If they returned with dogs, scent might linger where we lay. We moved carefully, Slowly, every step deliberate. We found a fallen tree trunk hollowed slightly beneath. Not comfortable, but hidden. As dusk approached, exhaustion blurred everything. Fear requires energy. By the second night, we had little left. Wind rose after midnight. It moaned through branches like distant voices. At some point, I slept. Not deeply, but enough to dream. In the dream, our house stood untouched. Smoke rising calmly from the chimney. The table set for dinner. I woke to the sound of real smoke. Not from fire, from the village. Through gaps in the trees, faint gray columns rose into the morning sky. The third day felt different. Quieter. No boots, no engines, no dogs, only birds returning cautiously to branches. The forest exhaled slowly. We waited longer than necessary. Fear makes you distrust silence. When my father finally said, "We go back," his voice sounded older. The walk toward the village felt unreal. Each step carried dread and hope equally. What would remain? What would not? As we reached the edge of the trees, the first house came into view. Its door hung open, windows shattered, smoke still curling faintly from blackened wood. Our house stood, but changed, the door broken inward, furniture overturned, drawers emptied onto the floor. We stepped inside carefully, not because someone might still be there, but because it no longer felt like ours. The photographs were gone, the small clock smashed, cupboards emptied, but the walls remained. The roof remained. We remained. That night we slept on the floor, without blankets, without light, but indoors. 3 days in the forest had altered something invisible inside us. Time felt fragile. Walls felt temporary. Safety felt conditional. Yet I remember one thing clearly. On the third evening, as we stepped from trees into open air, the sky above the village was clear. Blue, unmarked, as if nothing violent had passed beneath it. The forest had hidden us. Not heroically, not dramatically, simply by existing. 3 days. 72 hours, long enough to understand how thin the line is between presence and absence. Long enough to realize that survival is sometimes not about strength, but about stillness, about breath held at the right moment, about trusting trees to stand where they have always stood, even when everything else changes. We hid in the forest for 3 days. And when we returned, we were not the same family who had fled before dawn. We were quieter, more aware, more careful with sound, but alive. And sometimes in the years that followed, when wind moved through pine trees outside our rebuilt home, I would pause and listen. Not with fear, but with gratitude, because somewhere in that dark and watchful forest, the earth had chosen not to betray us. And that was enough.